So hello everyone, welcome to Daily Space for today, August 22nd, 2019. Yes, I am not Dr. Pamela, I am Annie. I am not an astronomer, I just play one on Twitch. Really. I know just enough about astronomy to be dangerous, but something I do know better than Dr. Pamela is rockets and things, and that's mostly thanks to y'all in chat because... yeah, y'all are pretty awesome being like, oh no, it's really this. So before I get really started, I do want to mention that we finished Bennu last night, and that is why I am tired, and I could not have made it through all of this without all of your support. And, yeah, so thank you for helping us do a science. Yes, Karina and the team? I'm not sure if it was Karina and the team or the team. But anyways, the OSIRIS-REx people were like, we needed this data like yesterday, but we thought it was all going to take you a year, and we finished in 91 days. That's not bad. That's just not bad. Please do not go and try to map Bennu. There's nothing left to map. The leaderboard as it is kind of set in stone. Well, it's not kind of, it is set. Excuse me. So with all of that, that is why I'm tired, because we finished Bennu last night, then we had a celebration stream, and then there was a rocket launch stream, and then I made dinner and went to bed. So, yes, y'all rock. Y'all freaking rock. So, without further ado, let's get into the rocket news. As always, our intro, Dave, helped me with these slides. So, if some are... a little wonky, it's just blame it on me. It's all my fault. Anyways, as always, we start with the things that launched, and then we're going to get into the things that are going to launch, which, spoiler alert, there is none in the next week, and then we're going to talk about other things that Dave found for us to talk about, because it's actually kind of a slow launch week, amazing or not. So, I don't know if you guys got rocket news last week. So we're just going from about a week back to, a week in the future. And yeah, we're going to do this the best we can. I think the rocket launch community knew I was going on vacation and just made sure that there were no launches while I was gone, which is amazing. So if you have any questions during this, go ahead and @ me so it is easier for me to see. And yeah, we're going to do this thing. All right. So first up, Chinarocket did finally, we talked about this a while ago. They finally launched their, they've launched their rocket. They launched it the 17th of August at 4:11 a.m. UTC from the... oh my goodness, why do I never know how to pronounce this? Anyways, it launched from one of the satellite launch centers in China. So they launched the SmartDragon. This was its first flight. It did launch 2 Earth observation satellites and it into low Earth orbit. So this company is primary civilian, but it was a spin-off from a state-owned company, which was a spin-off from the governmental space agency. So, yeah. The divisions in China aren't as clear as the divisions here in the US, or I'm assuming Canada and Europe. So, yeah, it's a spin-off of a spin-off. Other than it's an independent rocket, I really don't remember what else was special about it, and I apologize. I blame Bennu for everything. Bennu's fault for everything. But what I do have is launch video, believe it or not. And as a reminder, rocket launches are allowed. And if you're wearing headphones, consider yourself warned, because I'm not going to take any special pity on you. And without further ado, even though my thing doesn't want to go down, we're going to play the rocket launch video. Oh, that's what it is. It's a solid propellant solid propellant thing. And here's the payloads. Here it is, standing up on the pad. And there it goes. So, yeah, there you have it. It is the SmartDragon that has gone and done its first flight, as far as I can tell, successfully. All right, so the next launch that happened was also a Chinese launch. And of course, my slides are being like, nope, 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 we're going to be weird. Chinasat went up. It was kind of a surprise. It took me by surprise. I didn't realize it was going up. It went up on a Chinasat 18 went up on a Long March 3 Bravo on August 19th at 12:03 p.m., so just after noon UTC. China notoriously doesn't live stream its launches, which is why, you know, I typically don't even bother looking for a live stream link. Reminder, if you do know of a live stream China launch, let me know, because if I can, I will drop everything and co-stream it. So, the launch went well. The launch itself went well, and I do have photos for you. No video this time, just photos. But the satellite isn't doing so great. So Dave provided a little extra info about the satellite. So here's his blurb. Chinese authorities announced that the satellite intended to provide communications for in-flight airline passengers and ground-based consumers in the region suffered an unspecified abnormality, the cause of which is being investigated. U.S. military tracking data suggests that the satellite made it to a good GTO, so the launch itself seemed successful. Previous satellites built on the same base platform had experienced mission-ending problems with their solar panels on 2 occasions. So, yeah. And as people are saying in the chat, poor cows. We'll get to why they're saying poor cows in a second. So here is the launch photo. And the Long March 3 Bravo uses mostly N2O4 and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, UDMH, which gives the smoke or exhaust, I'm not sure what to call it, that yellow, orange, and red color. So I have my models handy. So this is the N2O4, blue is nitrogen, red is oxygen, and here is the unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. Again, blue is nitrogen, the black is carbon, the white is hydrogen, and hydrazine is just these two nitrogens bonded together, and dimethyl. A methyl group is just CH3, so that's like literally this thing right here. And so you have dimethyl, 2 methyl groups, and it's unsymmetrical because it's on one side of the hydrazine and not the other. These 2 compounds are toxic, and you really don't want to be anywhere near them. Yeah, it makes for a pretty rocket launch, but they're toxic. One of these is cancerous, or can be a carcinogen, and at least one of these produces long-lasting negative effects to aquatic environments. So why are these still being used if they're so terrible? This is where we get into the different kinds of rocket fuel. There's solid rocket fuel and liquid rocket fuel. Solid fuel tends to be stable, and we just saw that in the SmartDragon launch, and it can be stored in the rockets for long periods of time. The SmartDragon launch, the reason why we talked about it before, is because it was supposed to go up a long time ago, and then it got delayed. Because it's solid, rocket fuel, it can just be stored as it is without a problem. You don't have to worry about refueling it, so on and so forth. The problem with the solid rocket fuel, though, is that it can only be ignited once. You can't turn it off once it's been ignited. You can't throttle it, nothing. You literally light the candle and you watch it go off. Liquid fuel is a little different. Liquid fuel usually can't be stored in the rockets for long periods, and as I learned last night, it requires helium, which, spoiler alert, is getting to be kind of scarce. Or actually is very scarce on the Earth. You need helium in the tanks to make sure that they can maintain pressure and microgravity so that they literally don't, collapse in on themselves. Things of that nature. And usually liquid rocket fuels like liquid oxygen and liquid oxygen is an oxidizer. So liquid hydrogen. I am so sorry. Liquid hydrogen, which is just this, is a rocket fuel that needs to be super chilled. And the oxidizer for that is liquid oxygen. And I don't know where the molecule, my little molecule model for that is. And another rocket fuel is RP1 or kerosene, which I don't think it has to be super chilled, but it is still not something you can just leave in a rocket, right? Right. So they can't be stored in rockets for long periods of time, but they can be reignited. You can throttle these fuels. You can turn them on and off for maneuvers higher up in orbit. So what UDMH does, as well as the N2O4, is it combines the long-term storage of solid fuel with the ability to throttle and reignite of the liquid fuel. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, but it just tends to be really, 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 really toxic. So, yeah, that's why it's still used, especially in places where, rockets tend to be fueled and things happen, and yeah. So that's way more information you ever wanted to know about that, but I felt like this was a good time to just broadcast all of that. Anyways, this was a Chinese rocket launch. They launched from the middle of the country. There's going to be debris pictures. You want to see the debris pictures. You ask, I provide. And because it is China, these are debris pictures. Yes, they did have an evacuation warning. I did not bother to translate it. I'm sorry. I blame Bennu for everything. Really, it's all Bennu's fault. There was a direct strike on a building. That building did not have humans in it. However, it did have cows in it. There are no pictures of deceased cows. I'm not going to do that to you guys. But yes, 2 cows were killed from the debris. I don't know if any highways or anything else was done. I don't know what other damage was occurred, other than a shed was hit. A farmer lost their cows, which is very unfortunate. And yeah. It's one of those weird things where I enjoy seeing the debris from the Chinese rocket launches, but I really hate seeing when it hits buildings, because even if there's nobody in the buildings, that's still damage that's done. That's still damage that needs to be repaired. If it hits a farm, that farmer may have lost all of their crops. In this case, they lost their livestock. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know the specifics if anybody is compensated for any of these damages from rocket launches. I can only hope so. So, yeah, I'm really hoping China starts doing more ocean launches from the future, because then at least the debris goes in the ocean, which, while not the greatest thing to do, definitely spares human and animal lives. So, yeah. Hanny says China needs to look into landable rockets. They are looking into landable rockets. This is not one that had grid fins that could kind of navigate away from, civilization. They're working on it. But so far, it's still in the development phase. So, okay, on to brighter news. Also, on August 19th, very shortly after that launch, was a Rocket Lab launch at 12:12 p.m. UTC, so again, right afternoon. And it was the Look Ma No Hands launch on Electron. It was Unseen Labs and Spaceflight were the payloads. And yes, I have launch video. Headphone users, you've been warned. So, I guess this is not the video, this is just the still. Alright, I promise you there's video in the next slide or two. Alright, so this is a still from the live stream of Rocket Labs, and Dave did this slide for me, so thank you again, Dave. This is the 8th Electron launched, 7th in a row to successfully place payload in low Earth orbit. 39 total sats were deployed. There was also a black box on the first stage named Brutus, designed to record re-entry and descent data for future recovery reuse operations. So if you've missed it, I think last week, the week before, it had to have been the week before, we talked about how Electron is the rocket. Rocket Labs are going to start recovering their first stages on descent, and they're not quite to that point yet. The reminder, they've launched less than 10 rockets, but the fact that they're like, yeah, we're looking into catching these things is pretty awesome. They're literally going to catch them with a helicopter and land the first stage on a ship. These are small rockets. I think you can hug this one. I think it's small enough that you could hug. And they're really just designed to get small payloads up into orbit. So, for those of you that want to know what payloads were launched, we have one from Black Sky. It's from Seattle, Washington. It's a 56 kilograms. That's like 28 2-liter bottles for Americans. That's how big the satellite was. Black Sky Global 4. It's the last of the 4 in the initial constellation of Earth observation / commercial intel satellites. It can take 1,000 color images daily at the resolution of 1 meter. I'm just reading through all these other things. So I guess there's another 20 satellites that are under construction, the next 4 of which are expected to be launched aboard India's new small satellite launch vehicle sometime near the end of next year. Or near the end of the year, excuse me. There was an Unseen Labs, that's out of France, a 6-unit CubeSat called Bravo Romeo Oscar-1, or Bro-1. Not joking. It's about the size of a briefcase, and it's the first of a constellation plan to provide maritime tracking and commercial counter-piracy capability. The company reported via tweet that the satellite was already operational shortly after Monday's launch, claimed bragging rights as the first private French CubeSat operators to achieve orbit. Congratulations, Unseen Labs. Awesome. And the last bits of payloads were, even though this is still not adds up to 39, but there were 2 USAF, that's United States Air Force, 6-unit CubeSats, launched as part of the Air Force's Pearl White Technology Demonstration Program. In a statement, the Air Force said the demonstration will test new technologies including propulsion, power, communications, and drag capabilities for potential applications on future spacecraft. They will be operated for the U.S. Air Force by Tiger Innovations, a company in the Northern Virginia suburbs of D.C. So, yeah. So, I know that's only 4 of the 39 payloads. When you get into that many payloads, it's difficult to talk about all of them. I imagine a lot of the payloads were, smaller CubeSats. So, think... for Americans, take a dollar bill, fold it in thirds, undo one of the folds. That's about 10 centimeters. Each side of a 1-unit CubeSat is 10 centimeters, more or less. So that's how tiny these things are. You can hold them in your hand. All right, now, really, headphone warning. Are you ready for the video? Because I'm ready for the video. Let's do this. Why do you keep showing me ads?
And Delhi's running.
You can see some of the venting of the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Because they have to be continuously added to the rocket.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Left off detected. Beginning picture.
And we're off the pad for our 8th Electron launch. Soon we'll be approaching the point of the flight where the forces against the rocket are at their peak, otherwise known as max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. Let's listen in for that call.
HP battery discharge normally.
Alright, I'm going to stop it here. The full video is available for you to enjoy on YouTube. So, yeah. If you need to save a sheep, grab their ear. Why their ear? Are they more useful to grab their ear? And we have, the stream's interrupter. No, ready, those were not live pictures. This is video. I'm just going over the rocket launches that happened yesterday. So my cat has interrupted the stream. So we're gonna take a brief cat break. Because the cat's already like, where's my treat, human? Okay. Okay, I think that works. All right. Aha, it did work. All right, so we're going to keep the cat off of the desk. And I'm going to feed him. All right, so now we're going to continue. Yeah, so ready? If you missed a launch, an episode of anything, we archive everything on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the full episode along with just my thing, just my snapshots of video on YouTube. Also, this was footage of the Rocket Lab's 8th Electron launch, which they have that whole thing up on YouTube. So, alright, so next. Other things that launched. Yesterday, last night, technically today, for depending on where you were in the world. So, 22nd of August at 3:38 a.m. UTC, an uncrewed launch, more about that in a second, took off from Russia. I don't remember where in Russia. It took off in Russia. This is an uncrewed module, and the rocket is the Soyuz 2-1 Alpha, which they're using it to get away from the FG the Soyuz 2 was always intended to launch humans into orbit. It just wasn't ready fast enough, which is why they have the FG. And there were some interesting technical issues. The FG was essentially will go into auto abort if the spacecraft rolls, but Soyuz 2 is designed to roll. And I don't really know all of the things I know. Dave has some stuff, so I'll read the thing that Dave put, because Dave probably put it more into words that are understandable than my just going off. Anyways, Soyuz FG uncrewed module is oriented on the pad in the azimuth of flight, which restricted the launch sites it can use. The newer Soyuz 2 model crewed uses the roll maneuver once in flight to remove this need. However, this can and has triggered the auto escape system originally designed with the FG model in mind, and was not designed to account for the extra motion. This flight tests a possible fix action which to prevent the auto trigger on roll phenomenon, and if successful will be used on future crewed missions as early as next year. So it was successful. They were able to perform the roll maneuver, no auto abort went off, so the uncrewed capsule is on its way for rendezvous with the ISS, and it should get there in about a day and a half now, I think. So other things that were tested on this were new navigation propulsion systems, which will provide data to be included on the new uncrewed module, which is scheduled for first flight in 2022. And yeah, this mission had no toilet. It stripped out all crew-specific hardware, including a toilet, to make room for far more cargo than usually flies on a progress mission. So, So essentially, to fix the auto abort system, they put in a software patch. And yeah. Yeah. I know this is freaking out. I don't know why it's freaking out. Please don't freak out. I don't want... There we go. There we go. So this is the mission patch for this particular mission, and it is literally a robot finger and an astronaut and an EVA finger touching. There's the outline of the ISS and the outline of the craft that the robot is in right now, and there are 2 stars. I don't know the significance of the 2 stars. I don't know if it stands for the fact that this is the second robot being sent up or not. Or maybe it's a second test. I don't know. Hanny's asked, is the robot named Adam? No, the robot is named Skybot Foxtrot 850. Before that, he was named Fedor, and I forgot what Fedor stands for. But no, he's not named Adam. He is named other things. So, we talked a little bit about all the stuff that was shoved in the space with him. So, I was really worried that Skybot was going to have to ride with cargo. Nope. Skybot totally rode where a cosmonaut or an astronaut would ride in the actual crew module. And all of the bags you see around Skybot, that's all cargo. That's all cargo intended for the ISS. There's probably food, water, experiments. I don't know if you would call them compassion items or comfort items. I forget the word. Again, I blame Bennu. But it might be clothes for all we know. Yeah. So, that dolphin says, bot bringing its laundry up to space. Yeah, you could say that. And yes, we have launch videos, so headphone users, you again have been warned. Oh, nope, not if I click too fast. So this will have English commentary in it. Last night we watched the Roscosmos stream, and we missed out on all English commentary because I didn't realize NASA was also streaming this. Things happen.
You are looking live at the launch pad at Site 31 of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, where a Soyuz 2.18 booster
It's not
is
starting
fully
where I
fueled.
want it to start. There we go.
The second umbilical has now retracted. This initiates engine sequence start. We have engine ignition. Turbo pumps up to flight speed and liftoff. Liftoff of the unpiloted Soyuz MS-14 spacecraft on a test flight to pave the way for future crew launches to the International Space Station. Soyuz spacecraft now arcing out to the northeast, heading for an orbit 51.6 degrees inclined to the International Space Station for a rendezvous and docking early Saturday morning. First stage engines performing nominally according to the blockhouse in Baikonur. "44 seconds into the flight. Good roll, pitch, and yaw program.
Давление в камерах двигателей в норме.
50 seconds into the flight, everything proceeding nominally.
I love this image.
Вращение в норме.
Yaw, pitch, and roll all reported to be nominal. And there's a view inside the descent module of the Soyuz MS-14 of the humanoid robot Fyodor. Good reports from the blockhouse in Baikonur. First stage engines performing as advertised.
Носителя в норме.
Alright, and I'm going to stop it here. It does go on to further do more stuff, but it, the roll went successful, the software patch worked, and I am forever amused by the humanoid robot tucked in as if it were a cosmonaut, along with its little crocheted astronaut buddy. Or is it a cosmonaut buddy? Anyways, it had a little crocheted friend. So, yeah. Reddy asks, at the very moment, are there no humans on the ISS? Because he said test run. I thought there were crew on the ISS. Yes! There are 6 humans on the ISS right now, and they have 4 toilets. There are 6 humans on the ISS. This is uncrewed. If this were a crewed mission, it would send 2 or 3 more humans up to the ISS, but right now they try not to have more than 6 and no fewer than 3. I think maybe it has dropped down to 2 or 3. But I think the most humans that have ever been on the ISS at once have been when there was a space shuttle that went up, because the space shuttle could carry 6 or 7 people. And I think there was well more than 10 people that were up at that moment. And the problem with when there were that many people up there is that I'm sure it wasn't related to the number of people on the ISS, but one of the toilets on the ISS broke, and that was worrisome. So yeah, more things than you ever wanted to know about the ISS and the toilets on the ISS. All right, so there was another launch today. I'm sorry, I need a new trackball. There was another launch today, ULA. It launched GPS 3 SV2 Magellan on a Delta IV medium at about, let's just say 9:30 Eastern time, so 1:30 p.m. UTC. This was way earlier than I was comfortable getting up for. Because I was up so late last night with the other launch. So, details. Thanks to Dave again. This is the 29th and last Delta IV medium to launch. The Atlas V renders it largely redundant. It launched in a 4-2 configuration of 4-meter payload shroud and 2 SRBs. And it was 63.1 meters tall, 2-stage hydrolox propulsion. That's just liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. And yeah. And the satellite that it carried, the GPS satellite that they carried, was pretty neat. Here's why. It is planned to live 25% longer than GPS satellites that are already in orbit. And it provides a dedicated civilian channel that's compatible with other global sat-nav programs like the European Galileo system. Currently, the GPS satellites that are up right now can't directly communicate and are compatible with Galileo, so you have GPS modules here on the ground that can pick up both Galileo and GPS instead of just one or the other. The military is happy about it. Up. There's a further on update. Military is happy about it because the new satellites offer greater accuracy than the old GPS and are much more resilient to jamming efforts and interference. And Dave put in a last minute update in here. Apparently the Delta IV Heavy, was this a Heavy? No, this is Delta IV Medium. Alright, so this was the last Delta IV Medium to launch. The Delta IV Heavy will continue to fly until the new Vulcan Center comes online around 2021. The Boeing factory that makes Delta core rocket stages has now swapped over to the production of the Vulcan Centaur. The more you know. So, yeah, I think I have launch video. I do have launch video. Headphone warning. And I apparently need to start this because it's not playing nice.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We have ignition and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV rocket carrying the GPS-3 Magellan mission for the United States Air Force Space and Missile Systems Center.
Body rate response looks good. Now 15 seconds into flight.
You are hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch
Main engine
vehicle
chamber
ascent
pressure
data.
looks good. Seeing good chamber pressure across both SRMs. 25 seconds into flight. Continuing to see good operating parameters on the RA-68A main engine. Chamber pressure on both SRMs continues to look good. Seeing good body rates on the vehicle. Now 40 seconds into flight. Vehicle is now passing Mach 1. Delta IV is now supersonic. Now 50 seconds in. Main engine continuing to perform well, continuing to see a good burn profile on both SRMs. And vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. Main engine continuing to perform well, continuing to see good SRM chamber pressure profiles.
Alright, and I am
1
going
minute, 15
to
seconds into flight.
stop it here.
Approximately 15 seconds remaining till SRM burnout.
I'm going to stop it here. The video is available on YouTube. Just search for Sci News. So, and then other stories, which of course, because every time I have to do this. So other stories. These are other stories that Dave provided. Thank you again, Dave. I could not have done this week's episode without you. So this is, the larger image is the artist's impression of ISRO, that is India's Space Research Organization, or essentially India's space program. Small satellite launch vehicle, or Sierra Lima Victor, on launch, and the inset is the payload opened for view to display the potential launch configuration. Why are we showing you this? Because there's a lot of news involving small satellite launches and launch providers. This is part one. We talked a little bit earlier in the broadcast about Black Sky Labs announcing that they are now offering rides, or that they're now, Seattle-based Spaceflight, which is a sister company to Black Sky Labs, my apologies, is now that they're offering rides on India's brand new SSLV, which is yet to make its first flight, and that's what you're looking at right now. The launcher itself is operated by New Space India Limited, a new commercial offshoot of ISRO. It's about twice the size and mass of the Rocket Lab's Electron and about the same size as the Vega operated by Arianespace. And it can put 500 kilograms into low Earth orbit. So the first contracted customer, Spaceflight, has booked space for the next 4 Black Sky Global satellites, which we talked earlier about, no earlier than November of this year on the vehicle's second demonstration. Wow. The first demonstration will support a unknown military payload. Not uncommon. This rocket, the SSLV, will likely directly compete with the Electron, the Antares rocket from Northrop Grumman, the Vega, which is ESA, Italian Space Agency, and launched by Arianespace, and follows the designs and operational successes of ISRO's largely homegrown GEO satellite launch vehicle. That's the GSLV, and the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, the PSLV. Like the Electron, it will support multiple satellite deployments, including a limited number of multi-orbit deployments per launch, which they can only do that if they use liquid fuel. So there's that. And then next, he provided the pricing to SSO, and this is a SpaceX base price guide for dedicated Smallsat launches. They are going Smallsat. SpaceX announced earlier this month that they would soon begin offering dedicated, regularly scheduled launches of their F9 rockets from their Vandenberg Air Force Base, California launch site, indicating that the company is also highly interested in serving a ballooning Smallsat market. These launches will go for the price of $2.25 million for payloads up to 150 kilograms, that's 75 2-liter bottles, and $4.5 million up to 300 kilograms or 150 2-liter bottles to many sun synchronous orbits. The key development here is that there's no primary customer for the Smallsat partner to wait on. You go on these missions when scheduled, and if you have a ticket, you go. This is a big deal. Smaller satellites have had to wait for a larger primary customer to be put up for them to just kind of piggyback onto that launch. This changes that by being like, okay, you have a thing, you have a ticket, you go. If you can't quite make that launch slot, all the money that you've already paid for the launch slot goes for the next launch slot, plus any, changes in pricing, which is kind of like if you try to change your plane ticket at the last moment and you don't have a flexible fare, you have to pay the difference. So yeah, that's cool. You can develop your Smallsat, which are a lot quicker to develop, and just buy a ticket and go on a flight. So yeah, given that the Smallsat business is predicted to quadruple over the coming decade versus the previous one, it's really no surprise SpaceX and others are looking to corner a share. Fortunately for Rocket Labs, who SpaceX price point undercuts, and other launch providers, those companies launch to other non-sun synchronous orbits, since orbits other than sun synchronous from Vandenberg Air Force Base are not normally very practical. There's probably room to go around, but still, this is a pretty good offer. Really good offer. You don't have to wait. All right. So, yeah, this image is brought to you by Euroconsult, and this is part 3 of Smallsat update news. Given the predicted uptick in the Smallsat market, it's no wonder that Arianespace is also announcing a new program aimed directly at securing themselves a share. In a move not previously seen in the industry, the company has announced its Go 1 program, which will provide Smallsat customers with dedicated service directly to GEO. Normally, rockets lift their GEO-bound payloads into LEO, then use an upper stage to get to a transfer orbit. From that point, the Smallsat is on its own to circularize its orbit and get the correct position over the equator. However, using Arianespace's newly developed multi-launch carrying system aboard the new heavy-lift Ariane 64 rocket, which is an Ariane 6 plus 4 SRBs. Arianespace will be able to offer launch services directly to GEO orbit without the use of a GEO transfer orbit, and greatly reduced the onboard fuel requirements, mass requirements that they've previously denied higher orbits to smaller satellites, and reduce the on-orbit lifetimes of even larger satellites. Currently, most ComSats take weeks to do this, to transfer from the orbit that they're released to the orbit that they need to be in, which uses most of their onboard propellant in the process, and microsats simply don't have the fuel capacity to make that trip. But in this configuration, Arianespace should be able to lift small satellites from tiny CubeSats to those that are a few hundred kilograms directly into their desired orbit slots using a multi-burn flight profile lasting a course of some 6 hours. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That is amazing. So yeah. All right. And the last bit of space news I have for you, the very last bit of space news, is that ISRO has a lunar orbiter, lander, and rover that is now, it's in the moon's orbit. So around midnight Eastern Time, Monday night, Tuesday morning, the Chandrayaan 2 spacecraft executed a complicated 29-minute long maneuver intended to gently slip from primary influence of Earth's gravity to that of the moon. The moon vehicle had ISRO's hearts almost stopped today till it completed its job, according to the agency's chairman at a press conference afterwards. So now the craft will perform a series of maneuvers designed to circularize its orbit around the lunar poles, and the actual landing doesn't take place for another couple weeks, around September 7th of 2019. So that is all the space news that I have for you. So let me switch back to chat, even though there are no doggos. I don't know why there's no doggos. Let me get some doggos on screen. Have some Cheerios. Alright, so now I'm going to scroll up through chat and read your questions. And yeah, Larry asks, are there more passengers among Chandrayaan? No, it is just literally the orbiter, the lander, and the rover. I know all of them carry some specific payloads, but I don't remember the payloads off the top of my head right now. So, Mr. Microphone suffers so. Yeah. Rustmet says, I'm sure hydrazine and nitrogen tetraoxide is already being produced as part of a separate chemical process like the Haber-Bosch process for making fertilizer and things like that, and byproducts can then be used for rocket fuel, have an affordable price attached to them. Actually, these UDMH is not. I know UDMH and nitrogen tetraoxide isn't cheap. I also know that nitrogen tetraoxide is kind of in equilibrium with nitrogen dioxide, and that's about all I know. I don't know exactly where they came from. I just remember reading that UDMH and was not cheap. It was very expensive and toxic and other things. So, DPI says, SpaceX uses kerosene and oxygen. While not healthy, kerosene is rather harmless, even though combustible. Oh, Hanny's saying it looks like I dipped my hands in mercury. It is literally because of the light. I'm working on a new lighting setup that works well with my glasses and everything else. And sometimes when I get my hands a little too close to the camera, they get silvery. And it will do it with my underarms too. So, yeah. Guido says, Annie, did you ever read an Ignition, an Informal History of Liquid Rocket Propellants? No. I am going to have to make a note of that now. Where's my pen? I have zero shame about doing this. Come on, pencil. There we go. Informal history of rocket propellants. Of liquid rocket propellants. Because I know if I say I'll look that up later, I'll forget. That sounds like something wonderful for me to read on the plane. Alright. Yes. It is best not to hug the Electron rocket once it's fueled because it is very, very cold and bad things will happen. Hug a model. Don't hug the actual rocket. So, Refsmat says, remove hug before flights tags. And yes, Hannies, the Electron rockets are indeed all black, and the white parts are literally ice that have formed on the outside because it's so cold. It's so cold. Larry wants Tuffy to sing Harmony. Reddy says, I just wonder, do astronauts really say, look ma, no hands? Probably they do. The third man on the moon, whose name I have already forgotten, apparently had a lot of fun being on the moon and would make jokes and just kind of sing little made-up songs and things like that. So, yeah. There are some astronauts that have fun with it. There are also stories of astronauts that have decided that they were going to urinate upside down in space toilet cabins. Because why not? Why not? Larry asks, where's the vodka hidden in the inside of the uncrewed module? It's probably hidden. Yes, Russia does send vodka up for its cosmonauts. They usually name it under something else. Just they give it a generic name, and I can't remember. I think it's like morale supply or something. I don't have any more treats here for you, so I'll have to pet you. I'll have to pet you. Oh, Soyuz says the DPI says the Soyuz 2-1 Alpha is not new. They fly them all the time, just not for crewed missions. Thank you. I knew that they were new for crewed missions. I wasn't sure if they were also using them for non-crewed missions. So, Ready, yes. GPS satellites aren't that big or have that much mass, I thought. I guess they're small, so one rocket can handle 2 to 3 of them to lift. It depends on which orbit they're going to. I don't think they're that small because that was the only passenger. So, DPI adds, GPS-3 satellites weigh 4,400 kilograms, so that's 2,200 2-liter bottles of soda and need to be lifted to a 20,000 kilometer orbit that requires quite a bit of oomph. So, Refsmat says, but Delta 4 medium costs more than comparable Falcon 9. It takes years to build and plan a satellite, plan and launch a satellite. So they may have started this whole thing before the Falcon 9 was really ready or before Falcon 9's price point dropped. They may have had a contract to launch with ULA, and I think ULA has handled most of the Air Force's payloads, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong about that, but usually when I see a ULA launch, I associate it with Air Force. And DPI adds that the next 4 GPS birds will go up on Falcon 9s. So, high speed, asked something about the Amazon rainforest. I don't know. I know 0 things about the Amazon rainforest. I am not the person to ask. All right. Come here. Alan Bean was also an artist. It was Charles something. So, I think I've met Alan Bean. I know I've seen his art, like, in person, which is actually pretty amazing. If you get a chance to see any of his art, go. It's amazing. I think I had a chance to meet him. I've had an interesting, run. Alright, so here's some more Cheerios for the dogs because I'm out of treats at my desk for the cat. And make it rain. Alright, any more questions? I guess until we wait. Yes, it was Charles Conrad Jr. Thank you, Hannies. That is exactly who I was thinking of. I'm thinking of Charles Conrad Jr. because Favorite Human came home during all the streaming madness last night, and he had listened to a Planet Money podcast that talked about helium. We listened to it again last night. I strongly encourage you to listen to it. And it was the nephew or great-nephew of Charles Conrad Jr. who's actually going and looking for more helium. And yeah, they played recordings of Charles Conrad Jr. on the moon. Because he was a colorful character, and colorful as in fun, not colorful as in speaks like a sailor. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Bean was 4, not 3. Okay. So, yeah. It was, one day I will find the audio of Charles Conrad Jr. on the moon and play it for you guys because it was hilarious. So, yeah, so while I wait for anybody else's questions, let's talk about Bennu some more. 1, Bennu is done. Do not go map Bennu. Don't launch the app. You don't need to. Bennu is done. It took us 91 days to get through 4,509 images. Oh, look, bits. So here's the Cheerios and make it rain. Took us 91 days to get through all of that. Yes, the team thought it would take us a year. So they're happy that it didn't take us a year. I know we blew past like all of our, due dates, but we still finished before they thought we would. They are now going to take our superheroes, or is it our heroes? I don't know. They're going to take people that have marked a lot of images and do something a little different. They're going to have one person mark the images and one person check the images. Yeah, so I think they're taking the heroes, and the heroes are the people that marked over 500 images. Yeah, so they're going to look at 4 more landing sites, but yeah. So everyone that has completed at least 1 image for Bennu will get a certificate. I will start working on those probably after we verify marks and things. Or I could start emailing them out now. I guess it really doesn't matter. The way I'm going to be collecting information for swag or goodies or, Osiris Rex, patches, pins, or not patches, stickers, pins, other things, is I am going from superheroes, which are done, to heroes, and then I'm going further on down the list because I want to essentially make sure that we have enough stuff before I offer it to everybody. But everybody is going to eventually get a certificate emailed to them that is going to be both letter format and A4 format because I recognize that, not everybody uses the same paper formats in the world. So yes, but Bennu is finished. Bennu is done. Yeah, so thank you all for doing a science. Thank you for getting this done in 91 days. I don't know if we set a record or anything. Part of me is like, I wonder if we did. Thank you to everybody who ran out of images and created new accounts to keep on marking. And if you did one image, thank you. Thank you for doing one image so somebody else had to do one less image. Yeah. My cat is not very happy. He's like, all right, you're petting me, but this isn't food, Mom. Oh, this has never been done before, so we're the first. So, yeah. Tracker Kev asks, does the SQL database include enough info to generate a total map of Bennu and mark the spots that each individual marked? I'm just going to say no. And that way, if it turns out that the answer is yes, everybody is pleasantly surprised. But I'm just going to say no. Karina talked a little bit last night about just getting Bennu to fit a shape. So, yeah, that's been an issue. Ha! Star Strider says, yes, Trucker Kev, but I haven't written software, but I will. Take that, Annie. Ha! You know, there. See? Pleasantly surprised. It just isn't a pretty map. We've mapped most of Bennu. Not all of it, but we've mapped most of Bennu. I am covered in cat hair now. We've mapped most of Bennu. We have. I'm tired. I'm very tired. I blame Bennu for everything. We've mapped everything that they've sent us photos of, and I'm certain that there's areas that they just didn't send us photos of. Starstrider says, I have telecon at the top of the next hour, but I will be programming after and will live stream. I'm creating user areas in the software to submit publishable names. Awesome. Hanny's asked, did we get just the semi-dangerous parts of Bennu? No, we actually got the places where they thought they could land a craft. So by semi-dangerous, you mean semi-safe? Yes. By semi-dangerous, do you mean they knew it was dangerous before we started mapping? No. Nobody expected Bennu. Nobody. And Bennu is done. My summer of Bennu is mostly done. Our summer of marking Bennu is done. Yeah. Yeah, as Susie says, we had no idea it was a pile of rocks. Like, they were suspecting boulders, they were suspecting some craters, but they were really expecting kind of a smooth surface, not just a rubble pile of rocks in space. But we're done mapping it. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the cat. Anything else? Loot Crate 2024, a few micrograms of Bennu. Hopefully we get more than a few micrograms. I think they can collect up to like 2 kilograms. But I think the goal is like 600 grams. Hanny's asked, is there any theory of what happened to Bennu so it looks like that? Not a clue. Not a clue. Not a freaking clue. Honestly, my theory is just that everywhere in the universe, which aliens aren't there until they're there. Just were like, this looks like a good place to dump all of our gravel. We dumped all of our gravel. Oh, 60 grams even. Starstrider says they are keeping that science to themselves until they publish it, which is very common. So trust me, when we know, you'll know. But right now, they're working on it, and we don't know. We don't know yet. DPI says, my theory is Bennu is normal and Itakawa was just very, very smooth. Jean Derulin says, there is a place on Earth that is exactly like Bennu. A gravel pit? I mean, there are lots of gravel pits on Earth. Lots of gravel pits. Larry Weird says, every time a spacecraft points a camera at a new world, we have surprises every time. Hanny says, so Dr. Gay's software could be used for many future asteroids. Maybe? Maybe. Hickory Run Boulder Field, Jean Derloon And I think she refers to, there's a place on Earth that looks exactly like Bennu. Space is full of surprises. Space is also hard. Ooh, we're looking into working with a Chinese mission. That should be cool. Exciting. Mm-hmm. Alright. So the cat has parked themselves near the chair. And I think he wants more food. And, yeah. Oh, it's just a naturally formed boulder field. That's actually pretty cool. DPI says, yay, more asteroids, more gravel pits, more quarries. I'm so looking forward to this. I think DPI forgot the sarcasm font. Michael was asking, Starstrider, you're allowed to do space missions with the Chinese? I don't know the details or politics behind that, so we're just gonna have to wait for Dr. Pamela's answer. Mike Cassidy says, so my Chinese I studied in high school will come in handy. I can recognize the Chinese symbols through 1 through 9, I think, and year, month, and day. Starstrider says, yes, we can work with the Chinese if it is funded by China. PSI is international. So that's actually pretty cool. That is actually super cool. The more you know. Okay, last call for questions before I do the wall of text. In fact, I'm going to start the wall of text. So this has been a production of PSI. That's Planetary Science Institute, located in Tucson, Arizona, where it is super, super warm. Working in collaboration with Youngstown State University here in Youngstown. I think it's cloudy outside today, Ohio. And, that's actually a cool fact. Mike Cassidy says, if I can recognize the symbols of 1 through 9 in Chinese, I can recognize them in Japanese too. That may actually come in handy one day. I can say, Susie Murph says, I can say 1 through 10 in Japanese. I can say 1 through 5. It's a long story. I couldn't do 1 to 10. They just aren't spoken the same. Fair. Considering I don't know how to pronounce them, I just know how to recognize them in text. We're cool. Where was I in wall of text? We are brought to you by you. So thank you for all of your support. Thank you for doing a science. Thank you for your bits, your subscriptions, your pledges on Patreon, your donations, your merch purchases. Thank you for all of that. Now that we're done with Bennu, there won't be any hate mapping Bennu. I think when I come back from Tucson, we'll work on art related to Bennu. But right now, I just want a break, y'all. I just want a break. We'll work on art related to Bennu when I get back from Tucson. Our normal streaming times are Sunday through Friday at 1700 hours UTC. Right now, that is 1 p.m. Eastern time. So tomorrow will be Daily Space with Dr. Pamela. And Sunday will be Sunday Science Hour with me. And I don't know what we're doing yet. We'll figure it out as we go. And yeah, if you ever miss an episode, if you ever miss a random rocket launch, a ninja stream, a coding stream, any of those streams, everything is archived on YouTube by Susie. As a reminder, Dave totally helps me out with the rocket Daily Space, which is usually on Wednesday, but today it's on Thursday. You know, things happen. And yeah, I think that's all the important stuff. Is that all of the important stuff? Please tell me it's all the important stuff. I am very tired. Again, it's all Bennu's fault. It is completely Bennu's fault. So, yeah. We will probably have a, we will have a celebration stream. I don't know when it'll be a thing, but I got all the things. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again for all of your support. I'm going to awkwardly roll the credits because, you know, that's how we do credits. and apparently people want my attention because I can feel my phone vibrating. Thanks again. See you soon. Have a wonderful insert time of day here. Bye.